Alright, so we're talking about question 13. So the significance of choosing the story of Medea to comment on how Greek society treated the other. It's important to note that Medea is not Greek, okay? So Jason he was a Greek, and there is a line, I'm not sure which line it is, but she says that I was convinced by a Greek, so I'll find that. But she's quite upset about it. She talks the flashy words from the Greeks, but she is not Greek herself, okay? Even though we now see that whole area as one area now, at that particular time they didn't. So in this version of the text, if you have this version, top of page 72, line 801 or line 800, she goes, "The time I went wrong was when I left my father's house, persuaded by the words of a Greek, who with the God's help will answer to me yet." Okay, so she sees herself as different as well, but she was willing to go with him and take on the life of a Greek and adhere to the rules as best she could, but he hasn't been as reciprocating in that relationship, and that's the issue. So Euripides has used that particular event to show how she was rejected and why she was rejected. And yes, it's got to do with the fact that she's a woman, but it's also got to do with the fact that she is from somewhere else. She's considered a barbarian. Okay, question 14 is important within the home and out of the home, thinking about those societal rules. The women are in the home, the men do things out of the home, but the majority of the action occurs outside the front door, which is the male domain. And so this is important because Medea comes out into the male domain and acts as men act, but they are not happy with that. If she was a man, if she was behaving that way as a man, they would have accepted it, because when she acts like that as a woman, it's not accepted. Okay, so these settings are symbolizing those zones or those behaviors that's expected, those societal norms. Question 15 is talking about when the play was put on by Euripides. We know that he put it on for the festival. Each year they would celebrate that. It was a time when they would recreate the chaos in the world, which was when we know that Dionysus is the son of Zeus, as is Apollo. And Apollo represented the order and structure, and Dionysus represent the chaos and sort of hedonistic ways, so like sex, drugs, rock and roll type ideas. And so they would have this festival to recreate this idea of chaos, and then they feel they could rein the chaos in. But this particular play was showing that you can't control the chaos, you can't control the gods, you have no particular control over those aspects. And we know that the Athenians were thinking they could control it because they thought they were very civilized, they were very democratic, that with all their rules and their societal norms, they thought they could control all these things. But the one thing you can't control with your laws is God or gods. Okay, 16. How do we know that she plans to kill her children? When in the play do we learn this? So at the beginning of the play, we have the nurse saying, "I'm worried for them." So that's foreshadowing. We're starting to think, oh, is this going to happen? Then, when Medea comes out, she actually says that she wishes they were dead. And I'll quickly try and find that line. Here, on page 54 in this version, up the top, about line 115, my sufferings, my wretched sufferings, they invite a world's tears. O cursed children of a hateful mother, I want you to die along with your father and all the house to go to ruin. That is when we first get inkling this might happen. When she actually really articulates it properly is after Aegeus has said that yes, he will definitely take her in. So we're looking at page 71 now. And she says, she makes the oath, Zeus, justice, child of Zeus, light of sun. Now, my friends, and she goes on, she's saying, yes, now I have the means to go ahead with my plan. She goes on, and her plan, I'll do this, I'll send for Jason, I'm gonna blah, blah, blah. But line 7:20 it is about. When he comes, as in Jason, I shall use my honeyed words, saying, this royal marriage he has betrayed me to make is for the best and well thought of. I'll ask for my children to stay, not with the thought of leaving them in the land of my enemies, but so I may kill, page 71, so I may kill the king's daughter by means of trickery. I will send them, you see, with presents in their hands, a finely woven dress and a coronet of beaten gold. And if she takes this finery and puts it on her, she'll perish horribly, and so shall anyone else who touches the girl. Such are the poisons with which I shall anoint the gifts. But now I must dismiss this from my thoughts. So line 790, it makes me groan to think of what deed I must do next, for I shall kill my own children. So this is an oath she makes, to kill her own children. This is where we have confirmation that that will occur. If we flip over to page 72, so lines 800 onwards, it is when the chorus is starting to say to her, no, you should not be killing your children. Yes? It was on page 71, this version, and line 791.
791?
Yep, but she hints at it earlier. What page did I say? It was 54 maybe?
115, page 54.
Oh yeah, page 54, about 115, when she says, I want you to die along with your father. So we already know that she is not necessarily seeing them as someone to keep. She's seeing them as possible avenues of vengeance here. Okay. Discuss how Euripides forced the audience to own the role in this death. So that is, and that links in with the question we had about the kids' dialogue. What question was that one? 11? No? 9. Yes, question 9. So that links into question 9. That they're forced to own their own role when they can see how the laws that they've made have been used against them. And the fact that oaths, the way that their full belief system in the oath system is used against, because how Medea uses oaths. Okay, so that's part of that as well. How else they're forced to own the death is linked to question about the Deus Ex Machina. Which question was that? Question 11. When she was able to get away with the murder of her children, and she takes their bodies with her in the chariot. That is also part of the answer to that question. Question 17. And this particular question is answered once again with the dialogue between the children when they're asking for the chorus to help them. And the chorus says, we remember a time when someone else killed their children, but she was actually driven crazy. That's highlighting that Medea was not crazy in this particular instance. And the part where she's actually arguing with herself, is she being driven by passion or not? And I'll quickly find that for you. I'll find the passion quote in a minute, but where she says basically, is passion the master of my reason? And she actually surmises that no, I am not ruled by passion. I am doing this deliberately. This is a particular choice that I'm making at this particular stage. Question 18. The differences there are in the ancient Greek understanding of Medea's actions and our modern understanding of her actions. So you actually go to their societal norms and their understanding of the gods and things like that, because we don't have those particular understandings of the gods, and we don't believe in those gods, and we don't have the same affinity or connection to oaths that they have. Okay, question 19. Euripides subverting the structure of the Greek tragedies. If you listen to that podcast and look at the notes that Miss Latchford made, they will also remind you of not just the story being subverted, so flipped and changed, but also how Euripides changed how tragedies actually work. He had the chorus acting in a way they didn't often act. He has the kids actually talking in a way that didn't normally occur in these particular plays. The last question, question 20, has got to do with the before Aegeus turns up. Lots of things are actually occurring, and no one is necessarily controlling them. They just occur as if it's real life occurring. But after Aegeus and Medea have made their respective oaths to each other, Medea is in full control and makes every event occur after that. She is in charge of all those events. So she sends people off, she manipulates people. It's all got to do with the level of control that Medea has in the play. Okay? And so that's the structural change with how much she is actually governing the action in the play. All right, if you look past question 20, it's got those pink 3 levels of thinking. Yes, can everyone see that? So that's the last 2 bits that don't have numbers there. It says you need to have provided information about the play against each element. So the first thing is reiterate what's happened. So you pretty much just go, starts with the nurse saying this, here are the events. We've sort of done that with question 1. Inference is stuff that is hinted at. So maybe the Athenians shouldn't have done X, Y, Z. It sort of hints at ideas. And level 3 connection and motivations has got to do with Euripides' decisions and ideas. Once you've done those plotting information against those 3 areas, you need to make up 3 questions of your own, 1 for each level, that other people could answer. Okay? All of those questions are due tomorrow in class, because then we're going on with holiday.